We are with the boys. We got Shane, we got Riley. What is popping? How is post Polaris feels? How are you holding up?
It is what it is, isn't it? Just gonna look back on what happened and move forward. I've got that Empire grappling invitational thing next week, so I'll take my mind off of it.
What about you, Riley? Are you coping all right? Are you finished crying yet?
Yeah, I'm fine. It's what it is, isn't it? Going in as an underdog. I didn't expect him to come away with a win. It would have been nice to get, come away with a gold, sorry. Would have been nice to get a win, but it's a big stage.
When
Tough
you're
opponent.
cornering Shane, do you get him to call you coach?
Yeah, they did actually. It felt weird. It didn't feel right, to be fair, when I was back there with like Nick Forrer, who's like a first-degree black belt or whatever. It's like, all right then.
It's just a bit like, if for people who don't like know you guys, it must seem like a bit like, okay, what the fuck is this? You got purple belt and a blue belt with black belt saying, "Oh, go," like the sort of corner advice. You compare like the intricacy, like, yeah, do it.
Yeah, I get that. I get it, but at the same time, I spend a lot of time with Shane, so I've seen him in these spaces before at competitions with high-level guys, so I am sort of used to it in a way. I'm not saying I know what they know, but I can give him a sort of like the time at least. You know what I mean? I can do something. Not completely.
Yeah, he's a stopwatch.
Good stopwatch.
Clock stop.
The generic phrases like walk back and say them. That's what's
To be honest, though, I don't listen to anyone who's in my corner.
No, it's dreadful for that.
I don't think I've ever done something someone's asked me to. So
it's just
it
as
doesn't really
equal.
matter.
I've done something Shane's told me to do, and it's ended in a bad result. Maybe you shouldn't always listen to your corner.
I don't remember that.
Oh, that's
when was that?
A role model.
What did I do?
You talked me into a gear check. I was like,
Oh, that's so bad. But this is interesting though, that kind of relationship you guys have a post like a coach, because again, you guys have trained with each other, you know each other's tendencies, your game, and that kind of, I don't know, habits as well. So kind of feel if you get like, I don't know, Roger Grace in your corner, and because he hasn't rolled with you the same degree you guys have, you don't know each other that well. At that point, it's that far removed.
I've got a funny sort of story about that. When the amateur lads at sparring, prime example, like Dan Hardy came in, he's not always there, he's mainly there in the pros, and obviously he's one of the best analysts in the world, but if he doesn't know the guy, he let Jimmy was like, "Oh, who do you want you to corner?" The two lads. It was in, and Dan cornered one, and Jimmy cornered the other. Jimmy was obviously the one saying the most, just because he knows the guys. Dan doesn't really know what they were good at. So, like, just because you're high level doesn't mean, you necessarily know that guy's particular game. Because you could be telling Shane to do something he doesn't ever do or would ever do.
Are you calling out Dan Hardy for his cornering abilities? Are you saying you're a better cornerman
No,
than Hardy?
I should be up for analyst of the year, not him.
All right, John, getting this right. Did you boys see the UFC last night?
I didn't actually. I saw some of the results. I'm not willing to stay up.
I've not seen any of the results. Oh, I know Jimmy Riviera won. That's it.
Jack Shaw won.
Jack Shaw's on fire.
Yeah, he is. Really is. Finishing as well. Finishing high-level guys, so that's good.
Well, that was it. It's all the Cage Warriors card pretty much as well. You get like my mate Modestus.
Yeah.
His absolutely filthy elbows. I saw one in the he defended his title with that same kind of like elbows against the cage, which was fucking horrible, mate. Your boy's just out. He tries to play like to play possum, but oh no, I'll disqualify him because my head's all hurt and stuff. He's like, no, you should be not bitch.
I feel like when they give the European fighters a good shot, they normally turn up and come away with good results. It's that you obviously don't see as much UK and European fighters on the UFC cards, do you?
Well, this is it. And regards to like your training at the minute, then, because again, you guys are both in a similar boat of like mainly jiu-jitsu, but getting stuck into MMA now. How are you finding that kind of transition, especially with each other? Is it like throw a couple strikes?
I stopped. As soon as lockdown hit, I just stopped.
We went up really. He wanted to have an MMA fight, sort of like show that he can fight, which he can, and just get one under his belt. So he didn't want to be a jits guy, you know what I mean? Which he can, but with the when Polaris offer came up, it's not like it's a wise thing to do before something like that, is it? When you got the potential to be on them sort of shows, is an amateur MMA fight really worth it?
Yeah, exactly. So it was pretty much Polaris took priority, and now I'm back at that stage where I'll have a fight one day, but I don't know when it'll be.
So are you saying an amateur MMA fight where you can get maybe a ticket commission and maybe a bit of a loss is less important than Polaris? All the controversial opinions coming out here. Fucking hell, it's all kicking off.
I know. What can we say?
This is
But
it.
yeah.
Regards to your training now, then, are you managing to find any sort of space to do anything? Is it a case of you guys just sort of Zoom rolling,
Well,
like trying to
back
make it
garden this
physical?
morning.
Yep. We're in the mate's back garden this morning on some mats.
Yeah, just getting what we can really. We've tried to organise with Volley and a few lads from that sort of way, meet in a mutual location. But when you're trying to get that many lads together from all across the country and find the right day and the right time and the right weather, it's just a proper mission.
Well, it's all sort of sneaky time, and it's finding trying to, I don't know, rebuild some kind of structure. Because again, if you're used to the same kind of gym curriculum and not having to be sneaky, and again, not trying not to die from a pandemic, but it's also
It's a
other
weird
factors.
time.
Yeah, it's getting even if it's not much, anything's better than nothing, isn't it?
Yeah, we've done a fair few garden sessions.
Yeah.
Now, and
You're all gardening in. That's what you want. Are you guys one for like solo drills and stuff? Are you like one of these sort of white belts? You like sat against the wall trying to like invert and stuff to keep on
Hey,
doing that?
I don't do partner drills, so I'm not going to do solo drills.
Oh, yeah, shit, it's
No,
purple bird in there, yeah.
I forced myself to watch some drills, and I will drill some of them. But yeah, it's been when we do get training, it's been mainly rolling. It's not been too much drilling. We'll drill the same positions in like live scenarios, but I don't know. It's hard. I'm telling you to rep out arm bars and stuff like that to do it.
You know you have to actually do it if you're in a class,
Feel a bit jump.
but when you know you don't have to do it, it just doesn't happen.
I mean, that is it as well. Like, Shane, when was the last time you warmed up? Like an actual warm up?
We did.
I warmed up for Polaris, actually. I did.
Yeah, that was the first time I've ever seen him warm up for anything.
That's really
I told Riley a week before, I was like, right, you've got to make sure that I warm up on Polaris. If I say no, just make me.
What was your warm up like? Or was it a bit of like foam rolling and a bit of rolling out? Or was it like trying to get sweat on? What is your warm up like on game day?
We did a bit. We started off with some like loose wrestling, standing up, couple of takedowns, couple of sprawls, stuff like that, like semi-live sort of scenario. Then did the same sort of thing on the ground with passing, and then I was on his back, and then he was on my back, a little bit. Had him hopping on one leg, that one. Like you moving about. I think that's a good one to get loose.
And then finally, use your Tim Tam.
Yeah, I got the Tim Tam out.
Hello, Sailor.
I
I'm thinking
if
of Tim Tam's being the isn't Tim Tam the like chocolate straw thing that you put in, like you bite the corners off and start drinking your milk through? It's like chocolate milk.
Maybe.
I don't know.
But this is
that's like an Australian thing. Don't worry.
Faraz Sahabi's massage gun.
Oh yeah, the Theragun thing. With rule sets wise, and you guys have competed quite a lot in different sort of events. What kind of rules do you guys sort of favour? Like,
what do I favour?
Yeah, do you like the sort of EBI rules? Do you like sort of standard IBJJF? Obviously not, because heel hooks. But
I quite like ADCC rules, to be honest. It's half and half, isn't it? Like you can do your fancy shit that might give up points in the first half, and then if it comes down to it, at least you can change your game up halfway around if it's not working.
And this is where it gets interesting in regards to like strategy and trying to beat the system as such, and then also it changes how you roll. Like, what sort of rule set do you feel you roll to in the gym normally? Are you trying to get position? Are you just trying to get a sub?
Allowed, yeah. Just that's only grapple fest sort of thing, where I tend to not worry too much about where I put myself when I'm training, because I know that's when you're supposed to.
I think it's something like Paul has drilled into us from like, we do a lot of guard passing, so repping the same position. So whether it be like a De La Riva day or a full guard day or whatever, you'll start us in that position. So I think it forces you to have like quite a well-rounded game. And then obviously Nogi, people find Nogi a lot more fun, I feel. So it's always cool to take off a gi and roll, do whatever. I feel sometimes a bit restricted in the gi. So it's nice to for things.
He's throwing shade on the gi. He's throwing all the shade. He's firing the shots. It's all kicking off. Fucking hell, he's coming to make friends.
No, I like the gi, but people just fuck me up with it.
Like Shane, he gets you in gi choke who's not one doing them. But anyway,
he's not.
I've not done gi for a long time.
I haven't rolled gi in a long time.
I can't remember the last time I put a gi on.
I have put a gi on once in lockdown, once or twice.
Was it dressing gown?
That's me. That's me for sure. Yeah, God, it's got to have been the week before lockdown.
Now, as a
Forever,
predominantly no-gi grappler, do you feel your gi actually helps you, like the training-wise, or would you rather go on the full no-gi
Yeah,
like from the go?
I think it's good for grip training strength.
yeah, that makes a point. Good point. Well, I don't really know because I've always done both. I've never put one in front of the other. I've always been used to doing both, so I don't really know what it's like not doing both. I know all at the moment, obviously, I'm only doing no-gi, but it's just I still got to make a comparison.
When it comes to you guys training together, obviously competing at different levels and different experiences, how do you find it being beneficial rolling with each other? Because again, if Shane goes 100% and just smashes you right, I mean, I'll pretend that's the way it goes. I mean, it's the other way around, books. We're recording for argument's sake. We'll keep it that way around. Like, how do you?
Well, it really does depend on the day. Like, it's like anyone at any level. Like, sometimes I'm feeling good and he's feeling shit, and I want to get the better of him. Or like today, I just wasn't
Skeptical.
not to get the better of him so much, get the better than I usually.
Oh, he's not his make friends.
But no, I have to be on my A game once he just smashed. But he can show me a lot. It really does depend on how we're feeling. Like, we'll drill stuff together sometimes, but it's mainly just rolling and.
We'll then focus on like positional stuff sometimes.
Yeah.
So I let Riley
We
start
do
on my
get more
back,
out of it lately. I've been getting a lot more out of it.
starting on arm bars, leg locks, these sorts of things, just giving him a bit of an advantageous position.
Yeah, that does help a lot. Especially like, say he starts on the bottom and I've got a passive guard position. And that's just a mission on its own. To have that out of the way, work from them positions, it can help a lot. So for both of us as well.
Yeah, helps me with my defense and tightening up those little mistakes that I sometimes make.
And it just gives me a chance to drill stuff over and over again in like a pressure tested environment.
I mean,
But
this is. Sorry, I thought you finished. So this is where it gets quite interesting. That kind of, well, keeping variety. Because again, when you're friends with someone you're rolling with, you can't help but want to sort of smash them. You get that kind of like, yeah, I'm gonna fucking get you. But then it's also trying things and also being, I don't know, vulnerable is a bit dramatic, but kind of like being prepared to put yourself in a vulnerable position to get caught and stuff, trying stuff.
Yeah, it would have took him a while to get rid of the ego, I think.
Well, as soon as I got my purple belt, pretty much is when I started like realizing that I need to put myself in these bad positions, and if I'm going to get tapped, I'm going to get tapped. It doesn't bother me. Obviously, at the lower belts, it's bound to. It bothers everyone, no matter what they say. At one point, they got bothered when they got tapped, and then eventually you grow out of it. So I'm way past that stage now, which I think has helped me elevate my game.
I said you're waiting for it. You're waiting for it still.
But yeah, I think that's helped massively.
Regards to like competition standard, and that's just sort of getting that divide somewhere. Like, how do you divide your competition training versus your, I don't know, learning training as such? That kind of, okay, I'm trying to.
We just sort of pick up the intensity close to the time, mainly.
Yeah, but I mean, apart from lockdown, I competed like once, twice a month anyway, so I was pretty much always in competition mode.
Like
and when I'm not, I'm just regular. Like I guess the training we've been doing before I knew I was on Polaris was just, I guess, just a bit of fun. It's just slightly more fun, less focused. But then I guess the rest of the time, it just got to be a lot more focused on what you're doing and what the goal is. Like I'd add in my strength and conditioning, some sprints, hill work, stuff like that. I wouldn't do that just for the fun of it.
Yeah, if you can. Does the skateboarding help with strength conditioning as well?
Well, I stopped that after like 2 weeks leading up to Polaris. I did not want to be fucking falling over injuring myself before that.
Oh, I can't Shane compete. Oh, his kickflip was too gnarly and he broke his ankles. It's too rad.
Imagine. Way.
Don't need that.
Skater boy Shane. Now, what was it? When it came to Polaris in the first place, how much notice did you get? And when you got the call, did you do any sort of like, I don't know, sort of strategic planning as such for the certain opponents you might come up against? Or was it just, I don't know, more of the same as such?
I don't know. I can't even remember when it was, to be honest, that they asked me. Maybe just over a month notice, perhaps. And I think that's about right. 4 weeks.
Something like that.
So enough. Like, I wasn't too bothered by the short notice because I've still been training anyway, as everyone else has, regardless of whether they admit it or not. So I was still training, and as for the opponent, I didn't really focus on anything until I knew who it was, which was only a very short amount of notice, only a few days to be honest. So, and then I just watched a bit of tape on him just to help me in the preparation, see what I'd expect him to do from the get-go.
Now, we spoke about a few things outside of this sort of conversation about like mindset and being sort of switched on the day itself. Was there much on the build-up that you sort of, I don't know, didn't feel was right? Was it more when you got started, it didn't quite gel? What was your real point of realizing, okay, this isn't my day?
I mean, in hindsight, I kept saying to myself the lead up, I just couldn't believe I was on Polaris. Like, I just kept saying that to people, friends, and just I couldn't believe it. And I think that had a bit of a detrimental effect because I went in, rather than being in the moment, being like, right, I deserve to be here, I was more in awe of the fact that I made it to Polaris. Because back when I first started training, like, Polaris was like the only show in the UK. Grapplefest wasn't around then. And I remember thinking to myself, oh, it'd be so cool to get on Polaris one day. Back when I was a white belt, not even thinking I'd make it that far. And I think that just got a bit too much for me. I just couldn't pull the trigger. I didn't do anything I planned. Everything was just, at this pace, I was just far too passive, very defensive. And I think that's due to the fact that my head just wasn't there. It was kind of, I was a bit vacant.
I mean, that's always an interesting situation. Like, you hear it quite a lot with, I don't know, people, your idols become your rivals kind of thing. This concept of, okay, now you're at the same level and you can't believe you get so starstruck.
Yeah.
You respect them too much and you can't quite, like Anderson Silva and Stylebender, again, that kind of situation where, okay, someone who you used to really look up to, then nothing happens because, you both respect each other too much. And there's that kind of like, I don't know. It is interesting.
Ross.
Exactly.
That's competing against Ross. Before we even thought about coming up against people.
Yeah.
Now, this is where it gets quite interesting as this transition. So you've gone from the Polaris, the big show, something you've always looked at sort of getting to, and then coming up short due to your mindset. And now you get another opportunity on a more local show against someone who's belt rank lower than the competition, but still hangs up with the sort of high level guys. How do you find, I don't know, giving it the same respect and not, I don't know, seeing it as a rebound's a bit dramatic, that kind of fixed kind of thing?
Question. I not really thought about it, to be honest. All that I was focused on, I'd not really thought about it like that, to be honest. All I was really focused on was the fact that I wanted to put Polaris behind me. So whenever I take a loss, the thing that I normally do is try and then get back into a win to put my mind straight, really, because I always dwell on the last performance. So I think having this coming up so soon is stopping me dwelling so much on Polaris and just having me focused on that.
You won't think much of it as like a local tournament. At a high level, you don't get that because shows don't come up as often. I think it's just getting used to that regularly again.
But yeah, I wouldn't look at it as if it's not as big as Polaris. It's more, I guess, the fact that it is an invitational, which is obviously quite similar in that respect. But I just tend to look at the opponent more than I would do the show, because a good win is a good win, no matter what show it's on.
Now, this is an interesting sort of variant as well. The fact you've gone from preparing for a tournament with loads of different styles to one match against one opponent with one style, in the sense of this is, one person to think about. How does your approach change in that then? Obviously, haven't got a lot of time to really change the world, but regards to your approach, is it going to be more strategic based, or is it going to be more of the same of just, your approach and adapting to the situation?
There'll definitely be some strategy in there, because I've only got one opponent and there's enough footage of him to watch to make a good assessment out of. Not to mention that I competed against him a couple of years ago anyway. He caught me he caught me snoozing a little bit, didn't know who he was, and managed to catch me. But I've trained with him a couple of times since, so I know exactly what I'm preparing for. Not to mention all the recent competition footage he's got as well.
Now, Coach Riley, what's your involvement this time around? Regards, being the main man behind the scenes. How are you going to get in Shane's head and make sure he's switched on?
Just doing what I can. I don't know. Ty likes to do some crazy stuff, and I've rolled with him a fair few times myself, and he's pretty slick, to be fair. I can't fault him on that. He is really good. I don't think he's going to go his way this time. I just think Shane's too experienced for him. That's just the truth. But I don't know, just throw some crazy shit in there like Tyrese does. Just try and mix it up a little bit. Fast pace, that's sort of thing. With similar build. He's a bit bigger than me, but similar build, you know what I mean? Similar size, similar pace. I like to be fast like Tyrese. I can sort of mimic him in a B-Tech way.
B-Tech jizz. That should be my new Instagram thing. That's a different conversation.
It's a B-Tech everything. Yeah, just try to be a bit like I think you've seen it before.
Yeah, I know exactly what I'm getting into. So I wouldn't have turned it down. I wouldn't have taken the match if I didn't. That's another thing though, at least I can say that I've never turned down a match against world class black belts or against fucking 17-year-old blue belts.
Okay. Now that's another conversation in itself. That being the underdog in the Polaris situation, having nothing to lose as such, now you're in the opposite. You're now the one who's quote unquote meant to win.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Everyone seems to be thinking Tyrese is going to pull it out of the bag. So
yeah, it's underdog again. No pressure. Pressure situation.
I mean, it is an interesting sort of conversation now because it's like MMA math and like jiu-jitsu logic. It doesn't really add up. It doesn't make a lot of sense. But again, it's more the mindset and the way you can really bounce back's too dramatic, I feel. More like adapt. Not kind of like develop from it. But now, Riley, let's move things on a little bit because the other day on the phone, you were saying a few interesting things, that some funny work stories. Now, I'm curious as to what on earth you've been up to. So is this things happening?
I don't know what anyone's been telling me.
So you've told me.
Oh my God. Did Shane mention anything? What did I say?
I haven't mentioned anything.
What did I say?
Some of your old job, but this is I can cut this out if you want, but
was it quite a private situation?
No.
Did I even mention? Oh, right.
You were saying you're on the phone and they're saying like, oh, so we'll talk about it on the podcast. You're like, yeah, sound. Otherwise, I wouldn't have brought it up and tried to out you.
Well, it was just a misunderstanding, really. It was just a picture of my balls that ended up on the internet. That one would happen about
associated with his work.
Yeah, that was the big problem. I was out of my hands though. That was cyberbullying is what I call it.
So Ginger Nuts, how did that happen?
That's not why I lost my job though. I lost my job because I hated it.
He lost his job. He got caught on his phone.
Yeah, and then told my boss to fuck off.
But I'm pretty sure the latter had something to do with that.
That did. But fuck him, it was a shit job anyway.
Ginger Nuts, that's fantastic. Wow.
God, just out, sort of like sexual deviant.
I mean,
are you even 18 yet? Is that like actually illegal?
I'm 22, thank you very much. I may look you.
I was getting. I've got Shane's back now. I'm trying to, build it back up again. Firing shots back and forth. Got to protect him. Got to build up. He's got a fight coming up.
Exactly. Riley has
a fight. It's a match.
It's a grappling super fight.
Oh, we're gonna get all touch over this. Is it a fight or is it a match? One of those conversations. Go on.
Well, it's more of a fight than what's another match? A chess match.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah. It's a bit more physical.
Go on,
it's in a
Riley.
cage, so.
Is it a
Would
fight?
you call boxing a fight or a match?
Well,
Yeah.
again, what do you call it, Riley? You're the one who had a bit of a bite with this. Is it a fight or is it a match?
Everything a fight.
I don't know. I feel like, I don't know. It's not the same. You're not going in there getting your head smashed to pieces, are you?
But it's still a fight that you're fighting to stop someone
But also,
submitting you.
at the same time, you can 90% of the time you can consciously see what's going to happen and stop it before it gets really bad. If you're going to get knocked out, you're not got much control over that. You know what I mean? You're
Yeah,
gonna
but you do. You can be better at striking.
I don't know. We'll call it a fight though.
For argument's
Yeah.
sake, very reluctantly, very like if we have to kind of thing.
Yep.
I mean, it's a bit biased because you know you got both jiu-jitsu guys and MMA guys as well. I mean, we're sort of I'm gonna say MMA guys in like brackets, not confirmed. It's one of those ones. It's an interesting one. And this is another sort of concept with this, with your style of jiu-jitsu and then keeping it MMA sort of standard. This is where the transition is going to be quite interesting. So how do you find your jiu-jitsu adapting to MMA style? Like if you do pure jiu-jitsu, are you going
Talking
to...
to me or Shane or both of us?
Both, really. I'm going to start with you, Riley, because I've already asked Shane this properly, but I'm going to ask you just...
Well, yeah, I can sort of answer that quite easily, to be fair. Don't be on your back. It's not the best place to be.
You're training yourself, because again, if you guys are rolling like little butt scooting a bit of possessional stuff, are you actively rolling differently? Or are you rolling the way you normally would?
I think I like to adapt to the style I'm in. You know what I mean? If I'm in the gi, I'll use the grips. If I'm doing no gi, I'll play guard. If I'm doing MMA, I'll want to get up. But no, I definitely. I didn't used to come up on the underhook like I should. I used to be quite submissive in half guard, and I'd like invert or give up position, which I noticed my brother does. Who's like solely a jits guy who doesn't really do MMA. You do like MMA, you're gonna get mashed by somebody. It's just like you need to get up. You can't be just playing guard unless you're really fucking good at it. So especially with you a similar level guy in MMA, I found out I went to train with some of the pros, and I was like 6 months of white belt. I thought, yeah, I know a bit of jiu-jitsu, I'll be all right. And Joe Rice, he's had a couple of pro fights, like 10 amateur. He was in my guard and was just doing like ground and pound in the guard, and he was just smashing my face. I was like, shit, this is not good.
Like Dean Truman.
No, that's right. I'll just play rubber guard like Eddie Bravo said. I'll be all right. No, not the case. It was just hammer fist in my temple. It wasn't good.
It's not very nice of him. Tell him off for that.
No, he learned the hard way.
It's all right. Within a couple of weeks of me first training, Dean Truman elbowed me because his elbow pad slipped down and left him with a massive bruise on the forehead.
He's throwing elbows to sparring. Fucking hell.
Dean, he had elbow pads on, and one of them slipped down as he went to elbow me.
Have you ever met Dean? You probably knew it slipped down.
Yeah.
But throwing it in with pads on, like, I don't know, that's a bit of dangerous one at the best of times.
Hey, I've never walked away from a round with Dean. I've never walked away from one. I've always ended on the floor.
Tapping, crying. Please let go.
I think it's his way of showing me he likes me. I think.
I've seen a lot of people out. He doesn't like as well, though.
Yeah.
Some from column A, some from column B, I think. And Carsten, he made an interesting comment on Instagram about your first sparring with him. How was that, Shane?
Yeah. Carsten's dropped me many a time for body shots. I didn't keep my elbows tucked in. That was back in the day. God, when I first started training, bit of boxing with him in the mornings.
Now, who had more tattoos at that point then? Not the pair of you.
Carsten's always had more, I think, than me. Yeah, definitely. As long as I've known him anyway.
He's pretty well covered.
He's been a tattoo artist for the entire time that I've known him as well, I think.
I couldn't tell you any of his tattoos though. I just know he's got a lot.
I know quite a few, actually.
I mean, he's living the best life right now out in Thailand. I mean, that's a bit... Are you guys ever going to go out there and visit him, do you reckon?
I've been there once.
I asked him how everything was going. He's like, trapped in paradise.
Yeah, he does love it.
The world's smallest violin.
Yeah, still riding a motorbike over there as well. Like
Wonderful.
Dance with the Devil.
I mean, you got to have a bit of fun in your life as well. Right, boys. Where can people find you on the old social media?
I think it's BJJ on Instagram and Shane Oliver Curtis on Facebook.
Riley McDown, and that's all I really use for jiu-jitsu, to be fair. So, yeah.